taking the next paper, which is Nigerian Tribune's. On the Nigerian Tribune, the screaming and boldest headline here is on the ministerial screening, and that is from the Senate President, Bukola Saraki. It says, Bukola Saraki clears ways for Rotimi Amechi as Senate committee rejects petition on Sokoto nominee. 5 ministerial nominees seek Dogara's intervention. That's on page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. Saraki clears ways for Rotimi Amechi as Senate committee rejects petition on Sokoto nominee. That's Amina. 2 Oyo pilgrims detained in Saudi for drug offences. That's on page 44 of the Nigerian Tribune. 2 Oyo pilgrims detained in Saudi for drug offences. This is from the Senate President. It says, appeal court adjourns judgment indefinitely. I'm very interested in that story, but you could get more details from page 44 of the Nigerian Tribune. Appeal court adjourns judgment indefinitely for the Senate President, Bukola Saraki. EFCC arrests KBX Governor Dakangiri. That's on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. EFCC arrests KBX Governor Dakangiri. That's on page 6. Buhari's government, I beg your pardon, clueless. That's from Adebanjo. That's on page 4. Buhari's government, clueless, Adebanjo says. Police arrests 80-year-old Ejo woman with 68 live cartridges. That's on page 5. Police arrest 80-year-old Ejo woman with 68 live cartridges. That's on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. Moving on now to the next paper, that is The Guardian. The screaming headlines, which happens to be the boldest on the Guardian newspaper, says, APC falls PDP's claim on anti-corruption war. Governorship aspirant denies claims. Opposition fails president. That's on page 2 of the Guardian newspaper. More details of that you can find on page 2 of the Guardian. Court adjourns judgment on Saraki's appeal indefinitely. That's on page 2. Court adjourns judgment on Saraki's appeal indefinitely. Page 2. LUTH, Luth doctor dies from injuries sustained at home. That's on pages 2. The CMD, that's the Chief Medical Director of Luth, says a doctor has died from injuries sustained at home. Ife elders urge out of court settlement in Oni. That's on page 2 of the Ghanaian newspaper as well. Portfolios of new Lagos commissioners, special advisors released. That's on the Guardian. 7 key nutrients to boost mental health. That's still on the Guardian. Quickly let's touch on this story. There's a story here that said appeal court adjourns judgment indefinitely for Senator Bukola Saraki. Of course, we've been following what has been the saga between the Senate President and Nigeria. Lots of petitions filed against him, lots of charges, the CCT, the CIB, and now he took everything to the Court of Appeal. It has been adjourned. Adjournment indefinitely could be adjourned till tomorrow. It could be adjourned for 5 hours. It could be adjourned forever. What is your take on this? On which side of the divide do you stand? Do you see them revisiting this? How many cases have been adjourned indefinitely and gotten revisited?
No, like I said, this is purely politics. And you ask yourself, and actually it's unfortunate that the judiciary is allowing itself to be
monkey.
Yeah,
but
I like that word. Trust me, it actually, I did not, I couldn't,
did you see
I never envisaged that a court of appeal. Recall that all the hearing had been done, all objections submitted, everything, and last week Thursday was supposed to be the final, and the court adjourned till yesterday. Mm-hmm. And you ask yourself, the same court that adjourned till yesterday, why did that same court suddenly adjourn? Now, adjourned, not just adjourned to a particular day,
adjourned indefinitely. Mr. Yemi Daniels,
the issue here is this. That ruling may have been in favor of Saraki if they had gone ahead. May. Now, I use the word may, mark that word.
Or may not.
It could have been and it may not have. But that judgment would have defined whatever it was that CCT was going to come up with.
Now, I want to ask this question. We're talking about corruption here. We get so passionate when we talk about corruption. I've learned a thing or two from what you've said this morning, that a government who stood on the hinges of stamping out corruption is taking all that we've seen played out. Don't you think this particular judgment will definitely cast an aspersion on Saraki's personality and, again, people who cry for justice?
Well, you see, the judgment at the court that would have at the Court of Appeal or CCT judgment?
Both.
Now, you see, it was this whole issue was supposed to tell us how political or how apolitical the judiciary was or is. Do you understand? if there was no political connotation to all of this, judiciary would have had a good bite, so to say. But we have seen that the whole thing is political. You understand? And it's unfortunate that we allow politicians to reduce the totality of our lives to politicking. It's unfortunate.
What is it about our politicians that they do not want to have their name cleared? Because I would think that integrity should be one of your strong cornerstones as a human being. Why can't we just go the long haul, get our names cleared, so we can stand up, proud?
Unfortunately, it doesn't sound. It's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah.
You understand? If I was a thief, and a repentant thief, and I built an enterprise through robbery and criminality, and somebody comes in the system and tries to overhaul the system, I see a threat to survival here. You understand? Until you convince me, and that's why I listened to the provost of the Anti-Corruption Academy. Until you convince me that the anti-corruption is ultimately in my interest, I will not subscribe to it.
Yemi Daniels, there's something I saw in one of the headlines on the newspapers. I can't really pinpoint which newspaper it was exactly. It spoke about Cross River State government. I mean, the president is very important. He's making his first working visit today. Construction of a 60-kilometer road in Cross River State.
Is it
okay, now Cross River 260-kilometer road in Cross River State. Now, his first working visit is today, and as a matter of fact, Cross River State is PDP inclined. I would have thought that a lot of persons were saying, okay, the president would have been anti-PDP, anti-ACN, and so on and so forth. But now, the first state he's working with on his first working visit is a PDP state. I don't know if you're saying, like, it's more like he's putting governance first.
Yes,
before other factors and other challenges.
Left to the president. Governance is what he wants to do.
So don't you think the law of diplomacy came into play in Taraki's issue and government comes first?
No. You see, governance, there must be an architecture to governance. And one of the things that must come into the Nigerian governance architecture is morality. You understand? That has to be, it's a big thing here. And until that happens, you see, anti-corruption and corruption has a way of undermining the system. And if we tolerate it by the bit, it will become a stronghold. That's the challenge we have. If you give corruption a foothold, it will become a stronghold. The best thing is to annihilate corruption or reduce it to the barest minimum.
All right, so
thank
Mr.
you so
Daniel.
much.
Well, thank you.
How
This conversation can go on and on and on.
Yeah,
I mean, if you love Nigeria,
I wish we had
want
more
Nigeria
time. I
to
wish
be
we had
the
more time,
best.
actually.
We always wish on the show that we have more time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, time
We
is
just
never
have
a
to
friend.
go.
But
Thank you.
thank God we know how to make the best of what we have.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for
Very
coming. We
essential.
hope to see you next week,
Thanks for
Tuesday.
having me.
All right. Thank you for joining us. The newspaper reviews is always as interesting, as educative, as we try to make it to be. We hope you enjoyed today's edition of it. Join us tomorrow for another round of newspaper review. When we go for a short break, when we return, the studio conversation continues. Stay with
With Capri Sun, the minions are let loose. Now, limited edition Minions pouches. Great free gifts inside every carton. Collect Minions magnets, activity sets, goggles, beach balls, keychains, toys and photo frames. Capri Sun, actually fun. House of
and naturally occurring materials obtained from plants. Hence, when we take well-packaged medicine today, it is well to remember that we might be taking a processed plant product. The use of medicinal plants constitutes an important part of traditional medicine, which is a part of African heritage, though modern Orthodox medicine has improved a lot of many cultures. Recently, the World Health Organization estimated that 80% of people worldwide rely on herbal medicines for some aspect of their primary health care. This gives credence to the fact that people patronize traditional medicine practitioners for their primary health needs more than orthodox medical doctors. Medicinal plants contain numerous biological active compounds such as carbohydrates, proteins, enzymes, fats and oils, minerals, vitamins, terpenoids, flavonoids, carotenoids, steroids, simple phenolic glycosides, tannins, saponins, polyphenols, to mention few, which have medicinal activities. It is important to stress the relevance of traditional medicine to the majority of Nigerians. Most Nigerians, especially those living in rural communities, don't have access to orthodox medicine, and it is estimated that about 75% of the populace still prefer to solve their health problems consulting traditional healers. Where such access exists, the rising cost of imported medications and other commodities used for medicines have posed a big problem. Besides, many rural communities have great faith in traditional medicine, particularly the inexplicable aspect as they believe that it is the wisdom of their forefathers, which also recognize their socio-cultural and religious background, which orthodox medicine seems to neglect.
Jersey?
Ready.
Boots?
Ready.
Shin guards?
Ready.
Milo? Now you are champ ready.
Buy the Milo Champ Ready pack and you'll get one of 3 collectible Milo Champ shakers available at supermarkets and stores near you. Offer valid while stock lasts. Milo, the energy food drink of future champions.
Nestle, good food, good life.
Welcome back. It's nice to have you join us. The program is still AM Chat, streaming live on MITV, DSTV 255. Now we're on to our talk segment. We'll be having a discussion all about herbal drugs, herbal medicine, the use of herbal and traditional medicine in Nigeria. Over time in Nigeria, there's been several forms of medicine. Lots of them have been traditionally known to us. A lot of people would say from our forefathers, and we still use these medicines in modern time. But how well do we know about this medicine? What are the challenges that are involved in this medicine? I am not a medical practitioner, and that's why we have a medical doctor, a medical practitioner, a health physician right here in the studio with us to talk about the use of herbal medicine, traditional African medicine in Nigeria. His name is Dr. Abayomi Afe. I hope I got that right. Good morning, doctor. I got it right. Good morning. Nice to have you join us on the program.
Thank you.
So we're talking about traditional herbal medicine or traditional African medicine, so to speak. It's been ongoing, like I said. So many persons would say it's a myth that has been passed on to us from generations upon generations unborn. And so as a third world country, so to speak, it's hard for us to embrace modern medicine. But in Nigeria, the cycle to some people is beginning to change. But for you, how would you describe herbal traditional medicine from time past up until present times? There has to be a relation.
You're right. Actually, herbal medicine is actually a worldwide phenomenon. It's not something traditional or Africa, like you said. There's virtually no society in the world that has not gone through. Some are either going through their whole phase of herbal medicine.
What if I were to be specifically talking about Africa. and Nigeria? Okay. I am not living in London or in the US.
Yes. I just have to bring that so that we can have a good perspective of where we are, so that we don't actually get discouraged and we will be moving on to. So, but talking about Nigeria specifically, the practice of herbal medicine has been since time immemorial. In fact, right from the if you read the Bible says that there's a place in the Bible that says that God gives herbs for medicine and for food. So from the time immemorial, we don't really know where it starts from. And then the phase, it has actually gone through a lot of phases up to now. At a particular time, it was purely spiritual. Then it now translates into a state where it now becomes some elements of understanding, physical understanding, and people can pass it down from generation and say, okay, this particular one, if you mix 2 or 3 together, you get one. That is that was an advanced form of it, unlike when it was before, when people used to say that I just dreamt and a spirit told me to go and add 1 or 2 things together and I got it. So they moved from that stage and got to a stage where they specifically know that this particular leaf or root, if you combine it, you get this. And then from there, eventually, it now get to a stage where we are here now, where it's been packaged now. So the leaves that were used in those days and the roots that were used in those days are still the same component that is being used, but the package now are kind of changed now, different, exactly. So we're now beginning to have what we have, like what we presently hold happening in China. That's what I was talking about, the worldwide. Now where it is now being packaged into capsules, into tablets, and into some suspensions and some syrups. So we are there now. We're not really arrived there yet, but of course we are getting there now. That's why we now have the likes of many brand names, which I don't want to call here. And thankfully we now have NAFDAC sitting on top and looking at checkmating it. But I need to say something here. That is what NAFDAC does, or some of these regulatory agencies, what they do is to look at the toxicology effect of it. Toxicology, that is, it is safe. Is it safe for human consumption? Is it a poison or not? Is it poisonous or not? Not saying that the efficacy. They're not looking at the efficacy. Efficacy is you say that this is meant for headache, it's meant for gonorrhea, or it's meant for gastroenteritis, diarrhea, and it worked. So presently now we are having a problem with efficacy because it's not documented. People can come and say this one can cure million, can cure HIV, it cures syphilis, cures gonorrhea, cures everything. So that is the stage we are now. Unfortunately, we don't have an agency that sits on them that says, okay, come, bring what you have, let's do scientific trial, let's do experiment, which is what is obtained. For every drug we are using now, it's been tested. Some were tested over 5 years, 10 years before they eventually got released into the society, talking about the conventional drugs. But it is not done yet for the herbal medicine in Nigeria.
Okay, now talking about the herbal medicine, it's good that you took us on a kind of genealogy, letting us know that it is herbal, the use of herbal medicine is something not arcane or peculiar to Africa. It's something that is global.
Global, exactly.
Okay. Now the problem is, talking about what you just said now, there is a huge problem with herbal medicine in our society. The layman, as it were, the women on the street who want to earn a living to care for their children and their husbands. So unfortunate.
Yes.
I've taken it to another level by abusing what seemingly from the beginning was something good.
Exactly.
Going to car parks, going on the street, you have monkey tail, monkey head, monkey nose. They have abused this herbal therapies that we've used over years. I really want you to delve into this abuse of herbal medicine.
Yeah, thank you very much. The trend now, of course, like you said, is that a lot of people are taking alcohol in disguise of taking medicine. That is the truth. Alcohol in disguise of taking medicine. Because actually the paraga of this war, the monkey tail, the okpai, and the different shekpe and the likes, 40% of them is actually made up of alcohol. Alcohol, and some are
they mixed with alcohol, or these herbs ferment to the
yes,
point of
yes, yes. The herbs, ideally, maybe I should take us back. We are talking about herbal preparation. You see, there are many ways of getting content out of herbs. You can either chew it, you can soak it in water, or dissolve it in some highly concentrated solvent like alcohol. So the use of alcohol and water to actually soak, to use in preparation of herbs is actually to increase the rate of release of the active ingredients. And that doesn't mean that you should actually have 40%. You just need like 10% or something of the alcohol. Exactly. Or 10% of the components, not 10% alcohol, of the component of the whole mixture. No, of the whole mixture. If you have 20 mils of herbal mixture now, if 20 mils of herbal mixture, you don't need up to 10% of that 20 mils to be up to alcohol. But what we have in the likes of paraga and the okpai is that if you have a volume, a Coke bottle of herbal mixture, which is almost like a 50 cl or 25 cl, more than 50% or 40% of it is made up of alcohol.